Hey everybody, hope you're doing great. We're continuing our reading of the Quran Annotation review. We're in Surah 25, which is Furqan. Continuing the annotation review of when the first time I read the entire Quran. After we finish this review of the Quran, we'll start the Sahih International. It is right here. Let me show you, fam. Sorry, I know I'm probably gonna make a mess. Knock off all my books. But it's right here. Look at that. It's right here. Don't worry, it's waiting. Okay, so are we excited? I know I'm excited. So, alright, let's begin. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Okay, so picking up on 20. And the apostles whom we sent before thee were all men who ate food and walked through the streets. We have made some of you as a trial for others. Will ye have patience? For Allah is one who sees all things. Now, another thing that I mentioned before that I really liked about this is that it admits that no, they ate food, they used the restroom, that's it. Like the leader of North Korea will tell his people, he's a communist. He'll be like, oh, I don't use the restroom, right? And people are forced to believe it. And some of them really do believe it, right? They think of him as some sort of weird demigod. And it is quite insane how people tend to think that those of the past are semi like demigods. It's very strange. And then, as a trial you for others, will ye have patience? Right? So someone's being a trial for you. And I remember when I first read this, I was dealing with a very hard boss. And it was very hard. It was very hard. But I had patience. I did. And she ended up losing her job and that company went out of business. So I don't even, it was like, whoa. So long story short, I had patience of this person being abusive, and then that person later lost their job and the company went under. So that was a sign, I think, for my life. Alright, on 28. Woe is me. Would that I had never taken such a one for a friend. I've had that. I've literally had that. That we will say that. So on 27, to add some more context, it was the day that the wrongdoer will bite at his hands. He will say, oh, would that I had taken a straight path with the apostle. Woe to me, would that I had never taken such a one for a friend. He did lead me astray from the messenger of Allah. After it had come to me, the evil one is but a traitor to man. Then the apostle will say, O my Lord, truly the people took this Quran for just foolish nonsense. Thus have we made for every prophet an enemy among the sinners. But enough is thy Lord to guide and help. Those who reject faith say, why is not the Quran revealed to him all at once? Thus it is revealed, that we may strengthen their heart thereby, and we have rehearsed it to thee in slow, well-arranged stages, gradually. A lot to break down here that I like a lot. So, this whole thing of be careful of who you let into your inner circle, right? It's quite true. I've definitely, sadly, I'd say there's 70% of the people who in the past I let into my life that I called a friend. Literally, I should not have been around them at all. But when you grow up around gangs and violence and thuggery and debauchery, you tend to think it as cool, right? Now I'm older, I can look back and be like, dang, man, but I learned the hard way literally so many times. It was ridiculous. And now when it also mentions that the apostles, they had an enemy that was, made, to test them. We too will, as well, as it said earlier, right? That can give you hope, letting you know that you will face opposition in your life. It's going to happen. Have patience, and don't transgress in your response, right? And then, how it said in stages and degrees, that really helps because it's true, because I feel like it's an unwinding, a softening, a ripening, an ascension, degrees, right? It takes time. And anyone who just, oh, I got it right then, maybe, right? So again, I really like how it's very potent with what it tells us straightforwardly. 33. And no question do they bring to thee, but we reveal to thee the truth and the best explanation thereof. Those who will be gathered to hell, prone on their faces, they will be in an evil plight, and as to path most astray. Before this, we sent Moses the book, and appointed his brother Aaron with him as minister. And we commanded, Go ye both to the people who have rejected our signs, and those people we destroyed with utter destruction. So they rejected, they got destroyed. 43. Seest thou such a one as taketh for his God his own passion or impulse? Couldst thou be a disposer of affairs for him? They take their passion and their impulse as their God. Seriously, people do that, and it's happening more now. And what's even more strange is that people start to create this sort of weird, like, oh, it's a simulation, it's this, it's that. Like, they take their computer passions so far to the point where they're creating something that is almost science fiction, creating their robot gods, creating their pill gods, as they say. It's quite strange. Don't follow your own impulse, man, because so many times my impulses are good in certain of defense, but there's been times where I trusted too quickly, or I was too snappy when I should have calmed down and looked at certain situations. Other times, you have to have an impulse, right? When does the zebra know when to jump when the crocodile is about to snap? You know what I mean? You have to be careful. But certain music genres encourage you to follow impulse, and then they sing you these mantra-like riddles of just nonsense that will give you an impulse via visual stimulation to commit acts, right? So a lot of music artists worship themselves. That's a big reason why a lot of them put on horns, they wear capes, they put themselves as a goddess, especially the women artists. It's quite strange. They really become so egotistical, so narcissistic, that it turns them into something where they go towards, like, I'm some dark lust queen, and they worship themselves. That's why they spend so much money on their plastic surgery, right? It's quite telling. They think that the youth will be in them forever. They can't let go because they're a lust queen. They're a bed queen. 44. Or thinkest thou that most of them listen or understand? They are only like cattle. Nay, they are worse astray in path. 47. And he it is who makes the night as a robe for you, and sleep as repose, and makes the day as it were a resurrection. You wake up in the morning. The night does feel like a robe, comes over you smoothly and coolly, to where you lay down and relax. Hopefully. And then 50, I just underlined, but rank ingratitude. So the more further context was, and we have distributed the water amongst them in order that they may celebrate our praises. But most men are averse to aught but rank ingratitude. Most men are very ungrateful. The humans, right? We humans, we are. Especially when it comes to water. Big reason why I want to live in some place like where there's snow, because you can always go outside and boil water and filter it, and you're going to have at least some sort of way to store water, right? 67. Those who, when they spend, are not extravagant and not cheap, but hold a just balance between those extremes. The middle path, not being too stingy, but not being just overly pompous, right? Spending without the means to pay it back. The credit economy, I don't know, man. A lot of people during the virus, they really just crash and burned. They were already in debt, living paycheck to paycheck, hoping on a new basket, as they say, and well, it didn't pan out, and so many places went under, they didn't have savings. And then other people, they stripped their belts so tight, even some of the wealthy, they stopped going out entirely, which made it even worse. So you want to be the middle way, right? The golden mean. I think that's quite true. So don't fall for the American credit economy, right? Oh, if you take out this credit, I argued a lot with some coworkers. He'd had like I had two coworkers who they were very about have 5 credit cards, have this, have that, buy this, buy that, and then pay it back. And then they had all these schemes that they would be like, oh, we'll do this, and then it'll bump your credit score to this. And they were trying to give me the rundown. And I was like, but at the end of the day, you don't know what's going to happen to you. And if you can't pay, you miss a payment. I mean, it's $35 a day, depending on a 24% APR, depending on the credit card company and the bank specifically. About if you're one day late, they will charge you, right? A late fee. And then you could be busy with your life, you could get fees, something could happen. If you've already maxed out the card and then something happens to you and you miss the payment, it just starts piling up. I mean, the vast amount of Americans who are in credit card debt is appalling. So you should not be spending like living on your credit cards like they do here. Buy what you need, do without, accept this weird stares you get, and get used to not being, Louis Vuitton this and, all that garbage. You don't need it. So live within your means. Do not go towards the credit economy only. It's not sustainable at all. Literally at all.